The broadcast is live.
We are live now.
Oh.
Hello. So, hello everyone. Witam wszystkich. I will say a few words in Polish language now. Więc witam wszystkich i witam Was. Teraz poprowadzę rozmowę, wywiad z Patrycją Patz, która jest... Hello, Patrycja. Która jest trenerką tradycji Possibility Management, w kontekście Possibility Management, w którym ja również jestem trenerem. Patrycja jest trenerem trenerów oraz jest autorką książki o uczuciach. Jak czuć w racjonalnym świecie. I teraz przejdę na angielski. So I was just making like a quick introduction about yourself. So to say like you're a coach, you're a vocation coach and emotional coach and a trainer of the trainers in context of possibility management, which I happen to be a trainer as well, and an author of a great, supposedly, because in German book, about feelings. And yeah, and this is like I would like to talk with you a little bit about feelings, especially about feelings and emotion of fear and anger. And before we start, is there anything you would like to add and anything you would like to say about yourself?
Yeah, firstly, I want to say hello to everyone outside there listening to us, and thank you to you, Marcin, for inviting me for this evening conversation. And your Polish introduction sounded very interesting. I didn't understand anything apart from Patrizia Patz and possibility management. So yeah, but you already said nearly everything. Perhaps in addition, when I learned about feelings, the first time about feelings, I was 36 years old. And this says a lot about the need or the way feelings are seen and used in our society. So I was 36, and it was in a possibility management training that I first learned about feelings. And it changed my life so much that I decided to become a trainer and to write about it and to help people gain access to the power that is within their feelings.
Thank you. And yeah, like for me, it's because I spend most of my time in training spaces and coaching to talk about feelings, to ask about feelings, and it's almost I almost forgot how is it to not know at all about the feeling, like how to live in a context of not feeling. And in your book, like it's like how I saw it, like it's written mainly around myths around feelings. So how would you describe like maybe not list all of them and not say every of them, but what, like, from your perspective and from your work, because you work a lot with people with feelings, especially recently in a corporate environment, what would you say, like, what is the basic human thoughtware about feeling? What is the main human thinking about feelings in our society?
Yeah, I think it's kind of a circle. So it starts with the story about feelings, that feelings are not professional and feelings are not okay, especially feelings like fear or anger or sadness. It starts with this negative story, and as we have this negative story or this negative mindset about certain feelings, we try to not have these feelings. And the second step in this circle is that we put away our feelings and we put them into the unconscious. And so they are still there, but we are not conscious about it. And so they come to the back through the back door, and then we are emotional, we are reacting, we are creating problems with our emotional reactions. And then the next step in the circle is that we have the evidence again that feelings are not okay. And this is the circle we are running all the time, that we are putting away feelings into the unconscious. From there they can do whatever they want, and they come back through the back door, and we react emotionally, and then we create low drama, or we create things that we don't want to have in our lives. And then there's the evidence that feelings are not okay.
You said low drama? What's low drama?
Yeah, like conflicts, or starting to argue with your partner because of unconscious anger, and or not doing your things you want to do because there is unconscious fear. So low drama is, how do I say, it's an unconscious and irresponsible expression of your feelings.
Can you give an example, like in a daily life?
Yeah, in daily life. Okay, I give you an example. For example, I was sitting in my study and working at my website, and my husband came home from his work, and he came into my study, sat down, and started to talk about his day. And then I feel there is anger coming up. And if I don't use this little bit of anger and make a boundary, or I didn't use it, but try to listen to him and work at my website, then he gets angry and starts saying, "Hey, you are not listening. What have I said?" And then I get more angry, and then we start a fight. If I had used the little anger at the beginning to say, "Hey, Eric, stop. I want to continue this, or I need 5 minutes to continue this, and then I'm here to listen to you," then everything would have been okay. So this is, if we're not conscious about what's happening emotionally inside us, then it can result in a reaction, and then we fight, or we produce results that we don't want.
Okay, so actually, like all of this subject of feelings, it's like really broad and wide, and even I saw like I think that would be really cool to have like a separate conversation about your book, about the myth that you have, and asking about the question, because like all of the myths that they are there are so many, and people are confusing. I am as well. A lot about this feeling, and I invited you here especially to ask you some questions about fear and anger specifically. Especially, like, I see you as a authority in this. And I have some questions about fear from my own. So what is the fear actually from your context, from your experience? What definition would you give for fear?
A definition. Okay, fear is one of our 4 main feelings. Our 4 main feelings are fear, anger, sadness, and joy. So, and all the four have or are resources that we can use to do the things we want to do in life. And fear is in our society is seen as negative. We don't want to have fear, and if we put away fear, then we don't have access to the resource that fear is. And the resource that fear is it's about or fear is a natural or is part of our survival mechanism. That means when we are in danger or when we start new stuff, then fear is a natural feeling that comes up, and fear lets us be awake and careful and creative in situations where we don't have so much experience because they are new or they are dangerous. So fear is a resource that we can use to make steps in new territory or to survive in dangerous situations. This is the resource. But if we ban fear, if we don't want to have it, then we don't have access to this resource, and we don't learn to cope with fear or to use fear.
So how does fear manifest itself right now during this time of virus?
Yeah, fear is one of the the biggest reactions to this new situation. The corona virus situation has how do you say in English, has thrown us out of our comfort zone from one day to the next, to the other. So I don't know how it is in Poland, but in Germany we are in love with certainty, with safety and certainty. People are in love with, they want to be certain and safe. And we don't learn about, or we don't learn how to cope with uncertain situations. And the corona pandemic or the corona situation is an uncertain situation. We don't have experience with that. And we are not used to be active in a field of not knowing. So fear is a normal reaction, but now it could be the fear of becoming ill, of getting the virus, could be the fear of the existential financial fears, not surviving it. Could be also the fear of being restricted in our freedom or in our the way we want to live. So this is a natural reaction. So this is what's going on at the moment. And most of the people cannot cope with that fear.
What do you mean by the saying they cannot cope with that fear? So what's happening?
Yeah. Can you repeat the question?
What's happening when you cannot cope with the fear that in your system?
Mm-hmm. Okay, so we need some distinctions. So there is responsible fear, responsible and conscious fear. When I can't cope with fear, then I can use it as a resource, as I said before. So I can use it to be creative, to create new ideas. How can I deal with the new situations? How can I, for example, how can I start new formats of trainings because we cannot meet or we cannot have trainings face to face anymore. So if I can use my fear, then I can be creative, or if I have fear to get the virus, then I can be a little bit careful, or I can make plans how can I care for my own Gesundheit, sanity. Yes, this is using the fear as a resource. But when it's unconscious, then and it comes up, then it can become big, and I get panic, the fear. It can make me. How do you say? I can't act anymore. For example, this could be a result of unconscious fear. Or oftentimes we put unconscious anger over the unconscious fear to not feel ohnmächtig. The lack of power, I put anger on it, and then I say the government, they are assholes, and they are doing it wrong, and pointing with the fingers to others, only to not feel the fear. And these are all things that are happening right now.
I like you said this thing about putting the unconscious anger over the fear, and like I find that in a society at some point that like actually my point of view is that I find fear the most repressed feeling out of those four. Did you also have this experience?
Yeah, I would say yes. From the experience with my clients and with the people I work with, fear is oftentimes we made ourselves so numb that we don't feel anything to not feel the fear. So if somebody or if people say they don't feel anything, then it's normally under this numbness there is fear. And it's very suppressed. Yes, because we don't want to feel fear. We hate fear. We buy in insurances. We try to have a fixed job. We try to have a fixed house or apartment where we live. That is what I said with we are in love with certainty. But certainty is not existing. Security, safety is an illusion, but we are in love with. We are addicted to comfort and safety. So fear would remind us that this is not existing. So we don't want to have fear. Go away with the fear. We hate it.
Yeah, but Jesus, it would be like you would need to fear all the time, like because it's like if there's no certainty, right? I'm also trying to find some answers for myself, because for me it seems like either a comfort zone, like a marshmallow zone, when I like paralyzed basically, or there's so much fear because there's no certainty at all, especially in those times. Like like if you're making a workshop, a training, so whatever you do, you don't have any certainty because the next day it might be closed.
Yeah.
The next day they might say, okay, there's a total lockdown, you cannot do anything. So
yeah, it's about the more you can use your fear, the more you are okay with fear, the less you need external safety or external certainty, because and I would say also the more you are okay with all your feelings, also anger, because then you have this inner certainty. You can, if there something is happening, then you can use your anger, your fear, your sadness, and your joy to do something. So then you don't need so much safety or certainty from the outside. So it's more an inner certainty or a trust in yourself that you can cope with situations, with new situations, with challenges, because you already did this, and you can use your feelings consciously to create within these new situations. So it's not that you have fear or you are afraid all the time, because if you if you have experience in expanding your comfort zone, then the new situation or coping with new situations is not no longer new for you. So the fear will become smaller, and you can use it. Do you understand what I mean? It's not to be terrified all the time, because life is not safe and life is not certain. But to make the experience that you can constantly deal with new situations, because you already did it. The last time it worked. Okay, then you do the next one and it works. And so you get experienced in expanding your comfort zone. But if you don't do it at all, then you don't learn it, you have no experience, you are not open for it, you try to control everything. And this is also what happens right now. We try if there are new situations, one strategy is to control everything. And this is okay until a certain amount of control, but then it switches, and we sacrifice our aliveness to control, and we cannot control everything. We can control it a little, but not, it's like a balance. Too much control is sacrificing aliveness and freedom.
So, can you give me coaching now with fear? Because, I'm right now in this situation. We're having a conversation, and I've noticed this the second time I'm having a conversation with someone. I have this mark on my left side, which says how many viewers are there. So part of me is having a conversation with you, and part of my attention is going in to see the viewers. And when they're when the number of viewers is increasing, there's feeling of it's good. And when the number of viewers is decreasing, there's instant the fear in me, okay, something is wrong. Something is wrong, and I do something wrong. I need to control, and I've noticed this. I don't really get the distinction where I'm using this fear in a when I'm using this fear to actually go and do something from my intuition, from my center, I would say. And when I am using this fear to control things, also in workshop, because I freak out because I don't have a control in the situation. It's I don't know what's going on. So, so the fear in me is instantly, okay, you're doing something wrong.
Okay. So, and what's the fear behind the fear?
What's the fear behind the fear?
Yeah, you said the fear is that I'm doing something wrong. What's the fear behind the fear?
That people will not like it.
That people will not like it. Okay.
Yeah, I'm not. There's the fear of being not good enough.
Mm-hmm. Okay. So do you know this fear from?
Yes, very well.
Yes. Okay. So this is another distinction. There is emotional fear, and there's authentic fear, which comes up at the moment, and you can use it to be creative or to be careful in new situations or in situations where there is danger. So, and emotional fear, one sort of emotional fear can come from the past. So, a fear of an old traumatic experience in the past, which you are projecting on a situation right now. And you're looking through this filter of this past time situation where you decided that you're not good enough. You're seeing the numbers of visitors on the right side, and you're seeing it through your filter of this past time experience. And then the fear comes up. Oh, I'm not good enough. It's not good enough. I'm doing something wrong. It's not good enough. So this is a fear. And I think there are a part of this, what you experience right now is authentic from the now, and it's okay to check, is there something, is it perhaps our conversation is langweilig, annoying, or no, how do you say, if it's not interesting enough. So then you could use your fear and ask an interesting question or something. This would be the authentic fear, which you can use in the here and now. And apart from it is the old thing, the emotional fear. And this fear wants to be healed, wants to be appreciated and healed. It's not a fear that you can use in your everyday life.
Because I can find like tons of examples of in my life how this fear affects my life in many situations. Like I block myself from doing things because I entangle in those stories. Like there's this fear like, okay, I'm so like something's happening, so this emotional fear arises that I am not good enough, and it means something, and I go into those stories, so I can give like a lot of examples. Like for example, you write an email to someone and this person doesn't answer you for some time, and there's like this fear that, okay, that there's something wrong. I wrote something wrong. There must be something wrong in me. And I guess not everyone has that, and I guess a lot of people has that. And do you know this also from your experience?
Of course. Yeah, there are. When I started with feelings work, 95% of my emotional reactions were coming from the past, from past time experience, and through this filter. So there was a lot of emotional fear. And especially the fear you were talking about, the fear of not being good enough, the fear of doing something wrong and becoming punished, or the fear of not being liked. I know that, and it's also still there. Even I have made a lot of feelings work. It's still there, but the feelings work resulted in the ability to not listen to it anymore, to this old story in my head, or this old emotional fear. I can see it. I can see what's happening, and I can see it as the old pattern, and not letting it blocking me anymore. So it's a story. It's an interpretation. You look at the numbers, and you interpret. You make a story about it through your old fear, or based on this old fear.
And there's this like small trick about it, because it gives me some certainty how it is, because I don't know how it, you give me like, okay, I know it's shit, so at least I know something,
Yeah. Yeah, and this is also what's happening right now. We are in a situation with the corona thing. We are in a situation where we don't know a lot. We don't know a lot about the situation. We don't know a lot about the virus. We don't know a lot about what it's doing with different bodies. We don't know about how to deal with it. So, but instead of staying with the not knowing, with the uncertainty, and trying to use our fear to learn and to fast and to research and to give each other also a little bit of patience in learning to deal with it, we are making up stories. So these are could be I don't know the English word. I need to stories about Bill Gates having the virus to whatever, or even even science at this moment of not knowing is not really certain, but we love the numbers, and we try to fastly find out how it works just to get out of this uncertainty. But we cannot, or we it's hard for us to stay without a story, without making a story about it. Because stories give us, a story gives us a certain certainty.
Yes. So this is what they, like how actually you don't, like how you stay in present without making those. So because for me it seems like in those time might be one of the most practical skills actually, to actually be present in the fear and still act and still be, because what I see for myself and from a lot of people, it's like kind of a withdrawal. I don't know, so I withdraw, or I don't know, and I will just act and I will do things because I don't know, so I need to do something, or I withdraw and I don't know. Actually, I just wait until something happens so I can live my life.
Yeah. So it's really a topic of being conscious and staying conscious, and this is not so easy. Really, for example, when I read the newspaper or posts in Facebook or whatever, I try to be conscious and not get hooked by all these stories within it. So I read them. I read the different opinions also. I acknowledge them, but I try not to be hooked by them. So be it the stories or the posts or the articles from scientists or from the government or from people. And I try to be awake, and I try to make conscious decisions. How far, for example, when I'm giving a training, do I give it or not? How many people do I want to have in this space? How do we do it with a mask and so on? I try to make these decisions very consciously, and but not. Really trying to not get hooked by all these stories that are running around, because there's a war of stories at the moment. And I see the intention of all the parties behind the stories. And I appreciate the intention, but still try not to get hooked by the different opinions. So this is really a time to be awake and centered and conscious.
And how you go in practical terms from disempowering fear to empowering fear? Like, how do you do it? Because I'm trying to practice it for a long time. And
Yeah.
sometimes it's not, and I'm also looking at for myself, like.
Yeah. It's really exercising. So because our our brain is a real a wondrous thing. With our brain we can go everywhere. We can go into the future where everything can happen. Yeah, we can become ill. We can become uh, poor. Yeah, we can lose all our money. We can lose our job. We can. So in the future, everything can happen. And so one thing that we can do is really to check with our fear, because some of the fears are self-made, or are the danger that is behind it is not real. So one thing is really to center yourself in the here and now, and to ask yourself, is there danger, or am I in danger right now? If not, then to really breathe deep, to regulate the fear down, because fear is combined with our survival mechanism, and it can with our head cinema. In Germany we said head cinema, we can produce a lot of fear, a lot of not real fear. So ask yourself, are you in danger right now or not? And is it your fear, or have you read an article in the newspaper and you are manipulated by this article? And just breathe slow and try to center yourself and ask yourself, are you really in danger right now? So how big is the danger to become ill or to lose all your money? And then when the fear is here in this intensity, then you can see if you can use it. How can I do something if I have financially or fear that I of my financial existence? Then I can use the fear to connect with others and have and create ideas, or can I do something else? Then I can use it. So really, to stay centered is one of the best tips I can give, and to ask, to ask yourself, is it real fear or not at the moment?
And can you
Real
say
danger.
some few more words about staying centered? Because you said like to stay centered. Would you like? Because I know more what do you mean, but I'm not sure if people listening.
Yeah, it's about not being with your mind and with your thoughts and your attention in the future, for example, but come back here in this space where you are at the moment. Here for example, I'm in my study right now, here on a Tuesday evening, and am I now in danger? I feel a little bit of fear, 5%, for example. If this is if what I'm saying is understandable and interesting for the people, and this is a normal fear I can use in our conversation. So it's not threatening my life. But when I go with my attention into the future, and I think about my calendar at the moment, which is nearly empty until the beginning of the next year, then I could become afraid. I could panic if I let it happen. Yeah, I see the empty spaces in my calendar, and oh my God, I will not earn something. Oh my God, I have to sell the house. Oh my God. So yeah, this is panic. This is I'm sitting here, I don't know, perhaps tomorrow a company is calling me and says, hey, Mrs. Patz, we want to work with you. Or I can call companies here in my region and ask them if they need remote trainings for their people. So you know what I mean?
Oh, Jesus,
With
yes.
being centered, coming back. I have a nice example from my former husband. My former husband, he's a tax consultant, and every 2 months he did a forecast, a financial forecast for our finances. And every time he did the forecast, he came down from his study to me and said, Patrizia, we have to sell the house. And the first times I heard it, I took over his fear and said, oh God, why? And until I understood it was his forecast thinking. Yeah, he thought only about the costs in the next 2 or 3 months, but he didn't include what he could earn or what new customers occur. So with the time, after 2 or 3 times that he came down from his study and said, Patrizia, we have to sell the house, I stopped being afraid because it was his fear. So this is an example for producing fear with not being centered or being in the future, and also an example of being manipulated by the fear of others.
So,
And,
yeah.
And also, this is a very important topic at the moment, to not let yourself being manipulated by the fear of others, by the fear that the media produces, or by the fear that the figure, the numbers of the corona it produces, and so on.
Yeah, and yeah, but is it like part of people actually wants to? Oh yeah, this is like a thought. Like part of the people who are taking it wants to have this fear. Like I'm sometimes wondering, do I like? It seems like I'm producing fear in my life. And like, is it possible? And if so, why is that?
Yeah, ask yourself, why are you producing fear? What is the benefit?
Well, what comes to me, it's known. It's like something that I know. It's like a state of normalcy, like being afraid. Like with the first answer comes to me, and being in those stories, like something is wrong and something happened. Like it's a excuse to not actually risk a lot of things, like risks to do something different, to yeah, because there's this like state of being afraid, and yeah, and this is known stuff for me. Like this fear, like being afraid, actually is it's really cozy environment.
Yeah. Yes, and I think this part in us who wants us to stay safe, in possibility management, we say it's our box, uses this unconscious fear, or this irresponsible unconscious fear so that we stay in our comfort zones and not expand our possibilities and risking something so that we can grow and everything. So this producing fear can hinder us or can keep us from growing or doing the next step, because the next step could be dangerous. So this is the benefit. No. I I won't do it. It's I won't survive that.
And like what comes to me is a question, because when I got this thing, like, okay, fear, like, fear is okay, new software, okay, new thinking, that fear is okay, and you actually can use it to create, to do this thing. And I actually use it as a way of kind of, okay, so it's like, so it's okay, like if I'm trembling, like, oh, and fear, and I don't like, I don't know so much about it, but it seems to me that there's a workable fear and not workable fear. Like there's a fear, like I asked it before, but it seems like there's a fear or amount of fear which is okay and it's workable, and there's amounts of fear which which are not helping. It seems uh, like it. So the question is it like any amount of feeling, any amount of conscious fear is great, or actually it's if it's more workable to regulate this amount of fear?
So my personal experience is the more you learn to feel fear in different amounts, even 80%, if you have the experience of going consciously into 80%, 90%, 100% fear, then you also can handle it in your everyday life. So for example, I participated in a speaker slam recently. A speaker slam is a competition where you have 4 minutes to speak about your topic and to give the message or bring the message to the audience. And after 4 minutes, the microphone is switched off. So, and these 4 minutes, I think I felt at least 80% fear. Yeah.
Whoa.
And it was like, and when I saw the video of the talk, I could see it also. I could see it, the fear in my talk, but it felt like riding the fear like a horse, because I'm used to it. I'm with the feelings work, I'm used to act with 80%, 90%, 100% fear. So it's not about the amount. It's about the amount that is okay for you, that you can deal with consciously. So, and yes, there are these old emotional fears that are not helping, that are survival mechanisms and survival strategies to keep you in your comfort zone. Fears that are not fears that are combined with dangers that are not there because they come from the past, or they come from other people, or from your gremlin who wants to also to not your underworld part, who wants you to not take too much responsibility.
And what would you say about this thing, which is the saying, which is quite vivid in a lot of spiritual teachings, that the fear is at the opposite side of love?
I wrote in my book, this is New Age nonsense, as far as I experienced it, because fear is one of our 4 main feelings. Love is something completely different. This is also a myth that love is a feeling. Love is a principle, is a over personal power that can how do I say, that can come into the world through you, for example, through how you it could be brought through you into the world. So I think that conscious feelings serve love. For example, when I love something, yeah, for me, for example, I love nature. I love our planet and nature and animals. And I'm afraid, or I fear that we are losing this great home of ours because, or we are zerstören, destroying it. This is my fear, and that my fear is that we are not, we don't use the time that is left to create things to stop this destruction. So my fear about that lets me be awake, so I don't buy single-use stuff anymore. I have my cup when I'm in the when I'm traveling, for example, in the train, or if I have to fly, then I have my cup with me, so I don't need to use a single-use cup. And so I use my fear to do something about it. So my conscious fear is serving my love for nature, for example. Or when you love your children and you are afraid that they have no future anymore, then you can use this fear in a service of your love. So I don't think fear and love are opposites. It's more if you don't want to feel fear, then you don't do the things you love. It's more the fear of the fear that keeps you from doing things you love. You know what I mean? It's more the
I know exactly what you mean.
okay.
Yeah, it's like I think it's most of the time is the main reason when I get stuck in my life doing the things that I love is like the fear of feeling afraid. It's just like it's okay. It's more saying okay. That's enough fear. It's enough anger. It's enough. Actually, it's a fear of all of the feelings because it's like when I'm alive, creating and being in action. I feel, and
Yeah.
and sometimes I get scared of it. And some people might say like, okay, but feeling all of those feelings, it gets you out of this blessed zone. Like you should be like calm and trust the universe. And some people like the spiritual New Age mostly say it doesn't help to feel those feelings.
Yeah. And I think feelings are part of aliveness, being alive, and being a human, a human being. And as I said, feelings consciously, if we consciously feel and use feelings, then feelings are resources to really accomplish what we are dreaming of or what we are here for. So I would agree if it is about emotional, if it is about emotions that let us react like machines. I would say yes, it's not about that, but using feelings consciously for our goals, for our dreams, for our vision is something different.
So in practical way, how you get this distinction between conscious fear and emotional fear?
So one way could be participating in trainings or reading my book. So yeah, sorry, I haven't found an English publisher so far. So the first thing is really to shift your mindset about feelings, and then to get all these distinctions. What is a feeling? What is an emotion? What can you do with feelings, and so on. And then to do feelings work is one very practical way of igniting this power and making the experience that you are producing your feelings and you can use it also. And then with the feelings work, you can also work with the old emotions, with the traumatic experience from the past. You can empty that back you bring with you from the past. And this is a work that gets you to the point where you can really use your feelings consciously to be alive and to create the things that you want to create. And there are other ways and other techniques, but the one that I know and I have experienced as very effectful is feelings work, which is part of possibility management.
The initial plan was to talk about the fear and the anger, and actually there's 1 hour straight went away, and we talk about the fear, and actually, we could even talk more about the fear, because so deep, and there's so much example about it. And at the same time, I want to just touch the topic of the anger in terms of the protest of women protests that are going right now in Holland. It's a little bit less of them right now. Do you know them? Do you know?
Yes.
What I mean? Yeah. So
I know what you mean. Yeah. Go ahead.
Yeah, I just noticed, for example, there's so much of there's outburst of the anger of the woman, and still there are so many people who say oh, it's too much, too loud, too many curses. And at the same time, there are so many women that I find which has this big loads of emotional fear to express their anger. Actually, that something might happen to them, that they will be punished, that all of those. And and could you relate to this?
Yeah, this is a big topic. I don't know if it is good to start with that, because I don't know how much time do we have.
A minute.
Because I would like to say one thing about the anger, also in combination with what we talked about, the fear, because if people start, or if you start with feelings work, then it's good to start with anger, with a start to own your anger, because if you own your anger, if you get access to the power of the warrior, of the conscious and responsible anger within you, it makes the space safer for you to also experiment with the fear or the sadness. So I would always recommend to start with anger. So and yes, we are in times of cultural transition, and I think the topic in Poland at the moment, with the rights of women and abortion and everything, it's part of this big transition, cultural transition that we are at the moment. And and anger can, especially conscious anger and responsible anger, is the power that with which you can stand for something and saying stop and no and not participating anymore something, not following the rules anymore, and so on. So it's conscious and responsible anger is a big part also in going ahead with this evolution that is going on at the moment, the cultural evolution that is going on at the moment. And there is the distinction between irresponsible anger and unconscious anger, which is blaming others and fighting, and responsible and conscious warrior power or warrioress power, who says, no, we're not how do you say in English, going along with that anymore, or something like that. And I think it's mixed at the moment what's happening in Poland. It's there's conscious and unconscious anger at the moment, and but it's good to hear the voices, the no's, the protest, it's not okay anymore.
I think like, okay, so like the anger is whole other 1 hour conversation probably, and I think what's difficult about this with this emotion, that what I encounter in my workshop and my work is like most of the people don't really find those distinctions between conscious and unconscious feelings, and for what most people know, including me, what I knew for the most of my life, like anger, fears, sadness, made those three feelings were actually seen and experienced in an unconscious way. So, which was the anger was like violent and was like dominated and cursed and it's quite difficult to imagine and also to experience it, because I find in my experience that I'm also like sometimes go into this unconscious feelings as well. So I think it's quite hard to imagine for a lot of people how they can actually really in practical living way really go from this unconscious to conscious feelings, and in this particular case, anger, I guess.
Yeah, it needs exercise, it needs feedback, it needs self-examination to really make the distinction. It's not so easy.
I look at the time and actually I just and I think that would be it, and I would like to go to an end and hopefully have another conversation about the anger and maybe about the sadness and
the joy. Perhaps.
Like 1 hour conversation about all of the 4 feelings. That would be cool.
So if it would be interesting for the audience, then I'm there.
Cool. And so, what would you like to say something at the end? Would you like to add something?
I think this is really interesting times, and it's about what story are you telling yourself, or what story are you telling about the times at the moment? Is it a story that gives you power, or is it a victim story that you're telling? And my story at the moment is that yes, it's not so easy because we are all thrown out of our comfort zones, but my story is Corona could be an evolution enhancer, because it makes clear all the things that are not working in our society and in our structures. And my wish would be that we are a little bit patient with each other. And I I appreciate all the opinions. I appreciate the ones who are fighting for freedom and for democracy and for not being restricted too much, as well as I appreciate what our government is trying to do and to try to care for us and so on. So I see both of these intentions, and we need both of them. But I hope that we make it that we're not fighting against each other, but fighting for these principles, for freedom and safety, or for freedom and care. So my wish would be that we have a little bit of patience with us and with each other, that we are learning in a new situation, and we don't know yet what will be the outcome. So yeah, this would be my wish, that we are a little bit patient with each other instead of fighting for I am right, no, I am right, no, we are right, no, we are right. So yeah. And the feelings would be a very good field to reach this goal.
Okay. Thank you very much. And
thank you too.
Last words, like if someone is interested in your work, where they can find you? Or what do you offer, actually? It's also.
Yeah, I offer trainings and coachings, feelings work. This is the one part. The other part is vocational work. So I have different websites. I don't know. Can I leave it in the comments or so? I think it's better than just tell it right now.
Yeah.
Cool.
Thank you very much for this interview, for this conversation, and thank you very much. Dziękuję bardzo również słuchaczom tej rozmowy. Także dziękuję, and hopefully see you at the next conversation about the feelings.
Yeah, thank you from my part too.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye.